So it looks like Curtis Jones has left the building. Inter Milan agree a fee with Liverpool. I think it's a 35 million euro package for Curtis Jones, the last Scouser in the team. He is now left, or by the time this video obviously drops, he would have left to move to Inter Milan. Guys, how you feeling? How are you feeling? Liverpool still have not added any new midfielders during this summer transfer window. Do you think it's a position that we need to upgrade in? Let me know your thoughts and we're going to get straight into it. Yeah, man. Curtis Jones, obviously, as I said, obviously moved now to Inter Milan. I think first and foremost, it's a good move for Jones, still playing for a top team in Europe, a team that, you know, will challenge for the Serie A title. And the team, you know what? Inter Milan are one of them teams, man, that could potentially go far in the Champions League. They just seem like, especially in the last couple of seasons, they just seem like that type of team that could potentially, you know, push the, you know, the boat. I think they've had what, 2 finals in the last 3 to 4 years now, and one against Man City and obviously the one against PSG. So yeah, they're not no mugs or anything like that. This ain't like, I don't look at this as for Jones anyway, that, oh, you know what, you're going to like a smaller club or anything. Nah, you're going to a massive club, you know, in Inter Milan. So yeah, big up to you. Big up to you. Obviously with Jones, listen, I think with Jones, especially, you know, being a local lad and all this kind of stuff, for him, obviously there's going to be a tough move. You know, ultimately you're leaving your boyhood club, you know, to go seek pastures new because things didn't really work out. It wasn't even necessarily a thing of, you know, I wouldn't look at it as like a thing of, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's just one of those, you know, kind of situations whereby, I don't know, you picked up too many injuries, or you know, the Liverpool have like some world class players, and you know, you just can't really get in. It's been a baffling one, in my personal opinion, when it does come to Jones, because as I said, you know, I look at the Liverpool midfield, and I don't think it's that great. You know, to be honest with you, not enough for a player like Curtis Jones anyway to not feel that, yeah, I can, you know, I should be a mainstay, you know, in this team. So unfortunately for him, and you know, unfortunately for Liverpool, he's gonna have to, you know, keep it moving. And like I said, it's good for his career, and he's still playing at a very, very high level. And obviously, we've seen with like McTominay as an example, going over to, you know, Napoli, playing for them, and you know, you can see where his kind of reputation and stature has obviously just grown and grown. So listen, if Curtis Jones does his thing as normal, I think he'll be a massive success there. Obviously, they got in Jed Spence as well, so another England international over there, just for them to both kind of bed in, you know, to the life over there in Milan, and again playing for two, you know, playing for a really, really good club. So yeah, it's a shame. It probably is a shame, but ultimately I always looked at him for, you know what, bro, if you're not going, if you're not going to get the game time that you feel that you need, or sorry, that you feel that you deserve, you know, so to speak, then I don't see the point in staying. You know, we got 1 year left of his deal. You know, how much was it going to change the season? You know, was Iraola, obviously we never know these conversations, but was Iraola going to look at him and think, you know what, you are my starting midfielder? Is it because I guess Liverpool might potentially just be using the 4-2-3-1, so Florian Wirtz has to be a shoe-in, you know, within the team, and then that means there's only 2 spaces left? Is it? Who knows? I have no idea, you know, what the conversation, you know, would have looked like for someone like Jones. But listen, it is what it is, man. Yeah, these are the positions, obviously, that he has played throughout his time at Liverpool: midfield, attacking midfield, defensive midfield, right back, left mid, you know, centre forward. I guess one time probably played as like a false 9 and stuff like that. So yeah, listen, he's been shunted around so much, and I've always looked at him and just thought, bro, I kind of feel sorry for you a little bit, because you played in all these various different positions. You've never really been tied down to a position. You can look at that in both ways. You could say versatile, but then you can also say you can't really pin down, you know, your own position. Fair enough, cool. It's just weird, like, to me, like he's just never been a mainstay, and he's been here for time. Like, he has been here for time. You could excuse, obviously, first coming through, you know, obviously Liverpool having the midfield, you know, Gini Wijnaldum, Henderson, Milner, Fabinho, all of these kind of stuff. Thiago obviously then coming in. You can kind of excuse it. Should have gone out on loan, in my personal opinion. I think those are the years that Jones really should have gone out on loan. And again, I keep saying it. It's the either you do a buyback, either you just loan him out for a couple of seasons. But Liverpool need to start looking at these kind of things because, in my opinion, they're not developing youngsters that well. At the football club. So I look at it and think, okay, well, what's another way you can develop these players? Well, because obviously staying at the football club doesn't help them because most of them, like a Trey, as an example, not really going to be playing too much. Might get more minutes, but how much is more minutes going to be, in comparison, to the previous season? Obviously, things can change throughout the season, etc. But yeah, it's like you're not a club that notoriously seems to rotate players that much. You seem to stick with what managers like, whether that be Iraola, whether that be Arne Slot, Jurgen Klopp, whatever. They just seem to stick with that 11 and then rotate more or less when they kind of have to, kind of thing. So again, we don't really have that kind of culture where it's like you're only getting 3 games in a row, if that. Kind of thing where we can continuously keep chopping and changing. But also, I think that's down to the quality, that they have in depth. So yeah, Liverpool need to find another way in terms of, developing these young players. And I think they missed a trick with Curtis Jones, kept him in, fair enough. But look, he's, in my opinion, just wasted time. I'm going to be so honest. I feel like he has, like, for himself, I guess not for Liverpool, so to speak. But I just feel like he's just wasted his career, really. Just, yeah, you've played here and there, but no one's taking you seriously at Liverpool. That's not the kind of image I get with a Curtis Jones, kind of thing. And it's unfortunate, but for me, that's just the reality of said situation. Yes, I know not every player, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. But even still, man. As I said, obviously, Trey potentially getting those minutes, whether he does or doesn't. I wouldn't be looking at that. I definitely would be looking at loaning him out for a couple of seasons. Go away, play some football. Go away and play some football, kind of thing. I'd think Liverpool could have done a lot better, should be doing a lot better in the transfer window in regards to midfielders. They should have been signing, I feel, at least a couple of midfielders in the team. What then happens after that? Well, if you've got 10 midfielders, then you've got 10 midfielders. You know what I mean? Regardless of whether they're happy or unhappy, that's not really important. What's important is, can I get the best out of the players who are going to regularly play? Great. You know what I mean? It's all, yeah, everything's all fun and yeah, you keep people on side and this, that, and the third. But the reality is, if they're not going to be a fixture in the side at all, it's pointless. It's that pointless thing continuously. And like I said, Liverpool's summer window so far, obviously at the time of this video, it's been atrocious in my personal opinion. It's been really, really bad. You've not really sorted out much of the team. To be honest with you, your quality and depth is poor. Very, 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 very poor. So yeah, Liverpool need to do something in that kind of regards. What they do, I have no idea. We'd have to see come the end of the window. But listen, if Trey can get some more minutes, then great. I guess if that means he develops, then great. I don't know how much he's going to be able to develop in that, but if he develops, then he develops. We'd have to, just kind of wait and see. This is obviously just like a little comparison. Between the midfield of last season, so Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Curtis Jones. You can see Jones, he does better in progressive carries, forward passes, forward pass completions, and progressive passes. So again, it like I said, it does baffle me a little bit when I think to myself, why isn't he playing? Kind of thing, like, why doesn't he get the game time? Don't you feel like with these kind of numbers, and again, there's obviously other metrics out there, but don't you feel like with these kind of numbers that he deserves to play? Kind of thing. Do we not feel that he's a player that warrants playing ahead of some of the other players, whether that be a McAllister, as a Bozalai, or a Ryan Gravenberch, Florian Wirtz as well? I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess you guys would have to, kind of let me know in the comment section how you kind of feel about that. But what now? What now for Liverpool, man? Like I said, in my opinion, you needed 2 midfielders anyway. If you're going to promote Trey, then great. I'd still be signing 2 midfielders. Again, like I said, the midfield looks very weak. It looks very light. Not enough quality in the depth there. Again, if you're going to have those small numbers, does that mean realistically, again, he's going to be doing the same thing that an Arne Slot and, Jurgen Klopp have done, which is you just stick to your 11. If so, then the depth thing doesn't really matter at the end of the day because you're banking on your first team players to be readily available, more often than not. That's the way it's looking for me. Hence why I said to everybody, we've got to maybe temper the expectations in the team. This isn't a team that I look at who's trying to win things, at the highest level. Maybe a couple cups, FA Cup, and those kind of crappy competitions. Yeah, fair enough. But if I'm talking about you actually trying to be one of the top teams in Europe, The only way I see that is if the other teams just fall off this season. Other than that, I do not see Liverpool being one of the top teams at all. You know, the team is so imbalanced in terms of just the makeup of the team, you know, in itself. And it seems like because of the young players that you're trying to sign and stuff like that, it's not a now project, which is fine. If that's the case, then that's great. But people don't seem to feel like it is. They feel like, no, we're just a few signings away from, you know, this, that, and the third. And again, like I said, at the time of this video on the 19th of August, things could potentially change. But listen, we'd have to wait and see. We really, really would. But let me know your thoughts, man. Let me know your thoughts on Liverpool, on the Curtis Jones move, Trey potentially coming. I think I saw something about McConnell. I'm not going to speak on McConnell, to be honest with you. I feel like, yeah. If that's the kind of conversations that we are having, then yeah, you're worse off than I actually, initially thought. So yeah, we'll wait and see how that one goes. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people, and I'll catch you guys real soon. Peace.